Very few people have a lot of money, but most of the people do not have a lot of money. If you take a look at the statement, this kind of makes it clear for you what kind of distribution there is in the society of the people who are generally successful and not so successful. Now, does money need to be the ultimate factor to decide success? Not really. And if you make it that way, it's going to be a very difficult life for you because money in the end is not everything. But money is extremely important for you to take care of yourself, to solve problems, to have in general a much better life. Somebody who is making €1 million per year is generally going to have a better life than somebody who is just making €10,000 a year. So this also takes into account like happiness, things like that, but I'm going to talk about the things which I can help you with, and that is the finances. Now, right now at the age of 28, I have around €2 million in assets, and I have learned a lot of things throughout this way. And all of these things I'm going to share with you in this video. First of all, if you want to be a migrant, make sure that you're choosing the right country. If you're not choosing the right country, for example, you are really bad with colder weathers, and if you end up going to Scandinavia, Germany, whatever, Europe in general, that's not going to be really that nice for you. Maybe other countries like Spain, Caribbean, and so on would be much better for you. Same with taxes. If you prefer a country with lower taxes, then again, coming to Scandinavia, Germany, Austria, like Europe in general is maybe not such a smart idea. And then you can take a look at some other countries with lower taxations. Within Europe, you can also find some hidden gems. But overall, like the north you go in Europe, the more the taxes get. So the very first step of your entire success journey is making the right decision of where you want to move. Is it going to be a country that you prefer, where you have the right conditions to thrive and to flourish yourself? Or is it going to be a country where you're going to just end up complaining a lot? The moment you complain about something, know that this is not the right situation for you, and instead of complaining, you should be doing something about it, moving to another place, I don't know, changing your surroundings, changing your job, or 100 other things. So then the second thing comes, which is learning the local language. If you move to India, I expect you to learn Hindi, and if you move to Germany, I expect you to learn German, because if you're not learning these local languages in India, the most of the north is speaking the language. Around like 58% of the people total in India are speaking the language Hindi. So if you're not having the local language proficiency, it is going to be extremely difficult for you to keep in mind what kind of news is floating around, what kind of information is being spread out. Is there some kind of like new offer, new government scheme, rules are changing, things like that? You will be completely oblivious to everything. And that's a very dangerous situation to be in. That's the first stage where you can be 100% sure that like if you're not learning the language, you will not be given these kind of information on a silver platter by other people all the time, so that they're going to be like so worried about your success. Nobody else cares about your life. Nobody else is coming to save you. You have to make that decision yourself. You have to help yourself. And one of the most important things is, no matter which country you go to, learn the local language. If you don't do that, it is not going to be easy for you to thrive there. And this is a completely different story for people who already have money. If you already have a few million euros, you don't need to learn the local language. You can just get your lawyers to do most of the things for you. But if you're somebody who is starting out, I started out as a student, started part-time job, and then afterwards I started my own business. So for me, it was a classic starting from completely zero and then building something towards the end. If I already had a lot of money in the starting, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have taken the pain to learn the local language, because this is generally how people are. If you have a lot of money, you can get people to do things for you, and you don't have to worry about the basics then. Now, number 3, don't try to model your life on the basis of your peers. Again, just like I told you before, your peers are most probably just normal people who are living their life in the target country wherever you're living right now. And maybe they are not like, specially successful. Not maybe, like it's 99% of the scenario that they're not like specially successful. They don't have like extra things, advices to tell you, things like that. And they have a completely different kind of upbringing and background, because they grew up in that country. They don't have to come across all of these new things. None of these things are new for them. Anything that you're seeing at your office, anything that you're seeing at the public authorities, anything that you're seeing in the friend circle and so on, these are things that they grew up with. Right? And most of the times it's your normal worker who is earning around 3,000 to 4,000 euros netto, and thus already I'm talking about people who are like earning a lot more money in brutto. So even in those kind of scenarios, this is not really something that you should be like, okay, like let me model my entire life on the guidelines or advices that these people are giving you. Know that if you have higher standards for yourself, you should not be modeling your life according to whatever your peers are living right now. If they're doing something, let them do it. You don't have to do it unless it makes sense to you. Number 4, a job will never make you rich. You have to remember this thing, and you have to remember this line, if anything, from this video. There are people, of course, who are CEOs of companies who get hefty bonuses, things like that, but those kind of things are extremely rare. Most of the people who are making money, these are able to make more money when they're having their own business, have their own projects, than when they're working in a job. You have to know that in a job, because you don't have a lot of responsibility, this is also the same reason why you're not making a lot of money. If you'd be making a decision and that decision could make or break the entire business every single day, the way you would be paid is going to be completely different than you doing one tiny part of the entire business somewhere. So you have to remember this thing, that job is not going to be something that will make you rich. Number 5 is invest, and invest early. If you start investing at the age of 30 and you invest till the age of 35, and at the rate of 8% return, you'd be getting around 745,000 euros. But at the same time, if you start investing just 5 years earlier, you're going to have now an additional profit of almost 400,000 euros. So now you'd be ending your working life with 1.1 million euros in your broker. Investing is a nerve-wracking thing because I've seen my portfolio constantly go up and down, especially during these times with COVID, with the war, things like that. It's not been a nice thing. I was up to like 70,000 euros and then minus 130,000 euros and then again like 60,000 euros plus. What investing does is it builds a good habit for you. That is, even when times are not great, you are still keeping your calm and you're not selling out at the bottom of the market with like massive losses, and then you're like again investing at the top of the market with again things which are going to be losses soon again. So these kind of things are very important, and this builds a habit for you to kind of see the positives and negatives which are coming in your life and just like try to be stable and just try to move ahead. Have some kind of, monthly efforts or monthly money, for example. In this case, you're putting inside, and in your business, you're putting efforts every single day to grow your business monthly. So these are both important things that you have to keep in mind. Investing, I started not actually that early. I started investing when I was at the age of 25, and I know these days people start investing at the age of 16, 18. Some parents have the brokers for their children from the moment they are 1 year old or something. They already make a separate broker account for them and so on. So all of these things are always happening. If you want to start investing in Germany, you can check out my other videos where I lay out step by step for you how do you start investing as a migrant in Germany. And all of those videos are in English. The broker is in English, so you can take a look at that. And if you've already watched those videos, you can use my referral link below to open your free depot with Scalable Capital, and you can start investing today with as little as just €1 with savings plans. If you use my link, you help support the channel without any kind of additional cost to you. Number 6. Don't quit your job yet. What do I mean by that? Many people, as soon as they have a business idea, they just go extremely apeshit. They are like, this is going to be the best idea. I'm going to make so much money, this and that. And they have never even tested the idea. They have never even made their first sale. If you haven't even made your first sale, it makes no sense for you to completely quit your job, skip everything, and not do anything else on the side at all. What you should be doing rather is you should be focusing on your job like you were doing, but every single day you're working for 8 hours. You definitely have time for 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever that you can put on the top. So before you start work or after you're finished with your work, and then you're able to also grow the other thing to a point where the side business that you started is already covering most of the costs that you are having. And then you can completely quit your main job and you can focus on the other one. It's important because when you have your job, it helps you avoid any kind of short-term decision making. Any kind of quick buck that you want to make, any kind of sponsorship that you want to take, which you don't really believe in, which is going to have a very poor effect in the longer run. All of these things you should completely avoid, because this is going to be something which is going to make the life of your business very, very short. So be very careful there. Number 7, get out of echo chambers. I mean it for people who are, of course, migrants and they have a lot of friends. I know it from the Indian circle. There are a lot of Indians in Germany who have these specific Facebook groups, Indians in Frankfurt, Indians in Munich, Indians and this and that. I don't find it negative at all, but I find it problematic when this is the only contact you have with the outside world in the country you're living in. If you're outside your country, use it. Use it to meet many different people with many different thinking, many different kind of mindsets, mentalities, and backgrounds, because this is the way you grow yourself. Every single culture has something positive that they can offer to you. And if you're missing out on this opportunity, that is really, really sad, because this kind of environment, if you're just constantly hanging around with Spanish people, with Italian people, you're Spanish or Italian, or Indians or Pakistani, whatever, this is going to just not let you grow your personality, not grow your character. And this is not going to be something which is then going to give people the impression, okay, this guy is very well versed with different kind of cultures and he has a much better emotional and cultural intelligence when we are speaking to him. Because in the position of a CEO, in the position of somebody who is a business owner, you need to know these things. You need to know how you communicate with different kind of people, what kind of things they prefer. For example, if I would speak to somebody who is Turkish, I can be a lot more open, a lot more frank. The same with Spanish people. But if I'm like speaking to somebody who is German, I'm going to avoid my personal talks in the starting itself. I'm not going to open up directly, oh yeah, like, you know, I was having such a shit day on this weekend and this happened and that went wrong, this and that. But like, I know I would be able to completely be a lot more open with somebody who's from India, from Spain, from Turkey, and so on. So these are like two different things that you have to like keep in mind. Also, if you're constantly just with your own people, it's very soon that you start getting the idea that, oh, everything was so much better in my home country. Why did I come to this country at all? And it's completely fine to feel that. I think almost every single one of us feels that in our life living in another country. But you have to also know that there's a reason you left the country and there's a reason you came to this country. That was a very, very big and long process. That is not something that you just like did like this and you just quickly teleported from one country to the other. Every single day you took active steps to be at the place where you are at right now. Don't forget that thing. Next, it's fine to say no to meeting up with friends. Friends is a very interesting term to me. Like, there could be very good friends, there could be not so great friends. In my life, I do not have such a great experience with finding friends. That is something that I've personally always struggled with, because every single time you put your entire loyalty in a person. For example, your friend has a fight with somebody and he's not speaking to them, and you say, okay, like, I'm also not going to speak to that person because, like, what's the point? I'm not really known to him that much. And then all of a sudden you know that your friend has started speaking to him, but you are still not speaking to him. That is a very weird situation, and that happens so many times. That sometimes then there are stories of jealousy, that even though you think your friend is your friend, but in the back of their heads, as soon as they see you progress somewhere, they are just completely jealous. And this is something that they might not tell you directly, they might be telling your other friends. And then I don't really see this as such a crazy thing that you have to worry about, that you have to spend so much of your life just like, you know, constantly meeting friends and killing time. I know that if I had friends, again, I wouldn't have done YouTube. I wouldn't have built a business. I wouldn't have had so much freedom at all. I would still be doing a normal job. I would still be meeting out with the friends with whom I would have had a fallout someday because maybe they move somewhere, some situation happens, whatever. I find this to be a very difficult relationship. For me, the most important thing is family. Family is blood. That is something that you can always rely on. That is something that you always have to care for. And that is the culture that you can develop in the family too. Friends is not something that you can control. I know that people say that you cannot choose your family, but you can choose your friends. But I think you can also develop your family culture. Next, scale your business. There are always ways to do that. What do I mean by that? Sometimes you start a business and you're like, okay, I don't understand where to go next because I'm not really able to get the ideas. Maybe I'm not able to get consistent sales. There are some days where I'm doing really well, other days where I'm not doing anything at all. And the thing is very fickle. I'm suffering because of that, because if you're not able to plan that, okay, I'm going to get this much revenue this month, it's going to be very difficult to do a business long run. So in those kind of scenarios, it can also make sense to hire somebody from outside who has a different kind of perspective, some kind of business coach, things like that. I've done many kind of business coachings. I have given different kind of business coachings, and every single time I've learned that from different kind of people, you can see some completely different kind of things, different kind of ideas, and different kind of ways to approaching a single problem. So this is something that you can always take a look at. Sometimes just like speaking to your partner, speaking to somebody who has a little bit of business idea would already be enough for you to understand things better. But again, somebody who is specialized on those things, they're going to give you a completely different point of view, a completely different kind of advice, mentoring, so on, than people who don't have experience in those fields. Next, move to the next country. I know this is not something that everybody wants to do, and this is also not something that everybody needs to do, but this could be something which can really push your business to the next stage. If you have already reached a stage where you're growing your business and you're scaling it, you have to know that different kind of countries have different kind of benefits. And it is not a problem at all if you're using a country, the platform that this country is giving you, as a stepping stone, as a platform to move on to the next one. Because in the end, this is going to give you a lot more freedom for yourself to decide where essentially do you want to end up living in. You have experience of different kind of countries, you have experience of different kind of taxation systems in different kind of areas, and how the accounting works, how much you're able to get done with money. What I mean by that is, for example, in Germany, if I would have to ask my lawyer to sign some papers on my behalf, like take over the apartment, things like that, many lawyers wouldn't even do it. Like, it's not worth their time. They don't want to do it no matter how much money you pay. In Romania, the story is different. I was here right now in Denmark, and I had to take over some apartments. I gave a power of attorney. I had to get it notarized and everything from Germany. I sent it to my lawyers, and then they took over the apartments on my behalf. And this is so much nicer when you're able to get these kind of things done, just because you have some money to spare for those things and you don't have to be in different kind of places all the time. So for me, Germany was a absolutely great place to start everything, to study. Studying was completely for free. And then I had to start my business in Germany because, of course, your place of activity is Germany if you are doing any kind of business activities in Germany. And unfortunately, there are many people who do this illegally. I never did anything illegally in my life. I always wanted to do things by the book. And this is the reason I started my business in Germany. And I ran my business in Germany for 3 years. And afterwards, we moved to Romania. And that was a great decision because the accountants I have now, the kind of simple taxation system they have, that is so much easier. I don't get any letters whatsoever. In Germany, I was getting every single week not hundreds, that's very exaggerated, but definitely 1 or 2 papers. And this would be sometimes from the Finanzamt, sometimes from the insurance company of my employee, sometimes from the insurance company of me and my wife. And you just have to constantly fill out unnecessary papers and things like that. And that was not something I was looking for at all. Also, you have these employees association, Arbeitsunfallversicherung, things like that, which were not even relevant, but you would still be constantly asked about these things. So that is not something I'm happy about. Also in Germany, for example, I was speaking to another entrepreneur who was traveling a lot, and he was like, just because I was traveling, and whenever Finanzamt sends you a letter, they give you a deadline of sending a response to them within 2 weeks. And of course, he's on a long travel, so he cannot do that. So what ends up happening is that he got a lot of fine because of that, because he did not submit the papers in time. Or not submitting the papers, just giving a response in time. These are the problems I don't have when I have my company in Romania. So I'm very happy about that. So you have to know that use a country as a stepping stone. Every single country you're living in, has to serve a purpose. When it serves your purpose, you can go on to the next one. I know this sounds horrible when I'm saying it like that, but if you really want to put yourself first, and if you want to make sure that your family does better, countries, the way they behave these days, they don't give a shit about you. No country cares about you. And I think you should have the exact same attitude about the country too, that you're living in or moving to or moving next to and so on. Controversial opinion, but this is what I believe. Number 11 is the most difficult one, which is finding like-minded successful people. This is something we are going to have the most problem with, because your level of success will not always be same with this kind of circle you find, if you find a circle at all. Because what happens is many of the times, either people are here, you're here, or you're here, people are here. So what I personally see is that it's a lot more easier for me to uplift the people who are below me and bring them to my level than it is for me to find people who are at a higher stage than me and figure out a way to get their attention and pull yourself to their level. Sometimes it happens. I know a few successful people who are more successful than me, but this is not really the norm. You do not find these kind of opportunities very easily, because the people who are higher up, they always really prioritize their time, what kind of people they want to have relationships with, business relations, personal relations, whatever. And that's where things start getting a lot more complicated. So this is the most difficult part, but if you're able to get that right, then your business is not going to fluctuate like this all the time. It's going to be rather stable. It's going to go up, or it is going to like slowly, like, just gradually move sideways, whatever. But it is going to be something stable for you that you can live off from. And then afterwards, of course, once you have done all of these things, then further expanding on what kind of things you can invest in, what kind of real estate, what kind of stocks, things like that, that could start becoming a priority, or just like scaling your business. I personally believe the best return on investment you always get from investing in your own business. Then comes stocks, then comes real estate. Again, this was everything from my side. If this helped you, please leave a comment about what you think about it. And if you want to reach out to me, you can always write me an email at parrot@branddevice.com. Or if you want to sit on a one-on-one consultation, the links for that you will also find in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.